Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this live webinar, How to Fast Track Tech Hiring. I'm really excited to have you all with us today, and I hope that the technology is working for everyone, and we just really appreciate you carving out some of your time to join us. So why don't we jump into it? And before we really kind of get started here, I just wanted to briefly introduce my co-host and I. First is Juan Maxinez. Juan is a regional vice president here at Dice. He really works day in and day out with direct hire clients who are searching for tech professionals. And Juan, I'll turn it over to you to say a little more.
Sure. So good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Juan Maxinez here, Regional Vice President of Sales here at Dice. As Johnny mentioned, I work very closely with our direct hire partners, really serving as an executive sponsor for them and as well as an additional resource.
Thanks, Juan. And I'm John Sudekum. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Dice. I work really closely with our product development team here to create our employer-facing solutions. And I work directly with our client support teams to make sure that employers on Dice have the tools and insights they need to be successful. I also want to mention that we're planning to save some time for a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions, please submit yours. And before we go any further, I just briefly wanted to introduce Dice. I'm definitely going to save you the sales pitch here. I really just wanted to mention, make sure that everyone knows that Dice is the definitive platform for recruiting and hiring tech professionals. So millions of tech professionals choose Dice to find their next opportunity. And we help employers like you quickly and easily find the ones who are best fit for your needs. And if you're interested at all, you can just learn more about Dice at dice.com/hiring. All right, so we're here today to talk about speed in the hiring process. So more and more we're seeing and hearing from our clients how important it is to be able to move fast in the tech hiring process. And that's really why we created this webinar today. So the last couple of years have shown us that tech roadmaps and tech hiring as a result, they're really shifting and developing faster than ever before. And for recruiters, this tends to put a lot more pressure on you and your hiring teams, as sometimes you need to build teams with little notice or hire for highly specialized or in-demand skills. As a result, having a strategy in place to hire quickly and activate quickly is really important. Next, there are more tech professionals than ever before, which also creates a lot more noise for a recruiter. And from our most recent survey that went out to tech professionals, we learned that 9 in 10 tech professionals would consider a new job opportunity in 2024, which is great, but that also adds a lot of noise. And for tech professionals and recruiters, it's really all about finding each other quickly and being able to navigate the ones who are best for your needs. And last, tech professionals won't wait. So on average, it takes tech professionals much less time to find a new job opportunity. And as a result, tech professionals are less likely to hang on for a slow process or even respond to irrelevant opportunities. So for us, the first step in tech hiring is really knowing the data and trends that are shaping today's conditions. And in this section, we're going to equip you with some of the data that we've been noticing within the tech hiring landscape. So why don't we jump right into it? So we're about to go through quite a bit of data here. And just a quick note on that data. Every year we put out a tech salary report, in which we survey thousands of tech professionals about their tech salary and how it changed from the previous year and why. We also look into some of the benefits that tech professionals are interested in, their satisfaction, and much, much more. The data that we're about to share comes from this survey, and you can check out the full report in its entirety on the Dice site. So from our data, the average tech salary in 2023 was about $111,000. And this represents a very minor shift of about $155 from the previous year. We've all seen the news around tech layoffs in 2023. And while that is certainly impactful, it's significant to note that with all the news, tech salaries remain largely consistent. This could mean a few things. It could mean that tech professionals were less impacted by layoffs, It could also mean that they were able to find a new job if they were laid off pretty quickly and with a consistent salary. It's also worth noting the top states and occupations and industries when it comes to tech salaries. I will definitely mention here that we have a lot more data to share that is available within the report, though for the sake of being concise here, I pulled the top 3, and it's pretty interesting to see some of the top tech salaries and how they moved over the previous year. So for states, Massachusetts remained the highest the highest paying state for tech professionals, though it did lose a bit of ground compared to 2022. Massachusetts is home to an incredible variety of tech companies specializing in everything from robotics to fintech, which helps create an ongoing demand for a broad range of tech skills. Looking at occupations, while IT management is maybe a little less surprising, it's pretty clear that companies are willing to pay tech professionals a high salary if they are able to use both tech and soft skills to guide their companies through large projects and digital transformation. And then solutions architect and program analysts help further prove that point. And last, when we look at industry, the aerospace and defense industry was the highest earning for tech professionals in 2023, along with the second fastest salary growth rate. This isn't surprising, especially when we consider that there's been massive defense budgets, and even in the depths of the pandemic, this sector was reliable for employers and in finding tech talent. And so really the main takeaway here is that it pays to understand your specific hiring context. That means your roles, their salary, as well as the average salary for the location and industry. And when it comes to salary satisfaction, nearly half of tech professionals are satisfied with their tech salary. Looking at this graph, there are 2 main points that really come through to me. First, it's that there is still a significant percentage of tech professionals that are dissatisfied with their salary. Second, it's that salary satisfaction is noticeably lower in 2023 than it was in 2022. For recruiters and hiring teams, there's a few things that I think can be gained here, especially in hiring. First, there's an opportunity to find candidates for your roles who may have been disgruntled with their current salary. And if you have a competitive salary, you're definitely in a position to win. But second, being able to align salary offerings and expectations in the first place and those early hiring conversations will be a big help in maintaining tech professionals and keeping them engaged throughout the entire hiring process. Digging a little deeper into our data, fewer tech professionals reported salary increases from 2022. And in fact, a higher percentage showed decreases from the previous year. While we can't make direct ties here, it's very possible that part of the dissatisfaction with tech salaries comes from the fact that for many professionals, it didn't improve from the previous year. And as part of our survey, we're not only talking about salaries, but we're also looking into benefits that tech professionals consider important. Now, I will mention that we have data on over 20 different benefits, but for the sake of being concise, we just included some of the top performers here, but you can definitely check out the full list in this tech salary report. So looking at this data, it's really not surprising to see paid vacation and health insurance ranked so highly for tech professionals. Though it's definitely a little more surprising to see remote and flexible schedule options rank nearly as high. Today, we know that remote work is widely important for many professionals, with those working in the tech space placing even more emphasis on this benefit. Other standouts here include emerging benefits like training and education, as well as benefits related to wellness, like counseling and therapy. For us, this data tells us that while high salary is certainly important, when tech professionals are considering benefits, they're also very focused on what will contribute to an overall more positive and higher quality of life. And last here, we're looking at benefits that tech professionals consider important versus those that they have. So it's really not surprising to see health insurance again ranked so highly, and also a vast majority of tech professionals are indicating that they have this benefit. But some of the larger gaps tell an interesting story. So for example, while over half of tech professionals consider work from home stipend important, less than 20% actually receive this benefit. And for me, this says it's no longer just about offering remote work, but it's also about how you execute on that for your employees. Similarly, while 67% of tech professionals consider training and education important, only 43% have this benefit. We've seen training and education continually emerge as a desired benefit for tech professionals, and employers who offer this benefit can definitely increase retention and also attract new talent. And last, while 54% of tech professionals consider stock programs important, only 25% currently have this benefit. All of these are pretty important to know. So tech professionals want to quickly know whether opportunities meet their needs. So for some, a complete remote work policy and stipend could be the difference between applying for a job or not applying for that job. And for others, a less competitive salary that includes stock programs could mean something that they'll still consider when you're reaching out to the technologist. So now that we've covered some of today's tech hiring trends, we're going to cover some of the more tactical strategies for applying some of this data and hiring with speed. So there's millions of tech professionals out there, which is great, but what really matters is narrowing your search down to the few that truly align with your needs and they'll be interested in your company as well as the opportunity that you're offering. So that can be a pretty tough needle to thread, but we're going to dig into our best practices here at Dice. So we're going to talk about how you can go from search to offer in 7 days. So the strategy that we recommend is first, starting your search with the most critical factors. This includes things like your title, skills, and location. From there, we suggest filtering down based on those important factors like remote work or in-office work preferences, salary, or if they're willing to relocate. And then we suggest prioritizing based on who is most likely to search. And last, once you have your list, you can set up alerts so that you are the first to know when new and fresh candidates become available and align with your criteria that you've set. This is exactly what one recruiter did on Dice, and they were able to go from job description to offer made in just 7 days. And we'll be sure to share that case study as well after the webinar. But from here, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Juan to put some of these strategies into place.
Sure. Thanks, Johnny. So I'll quickly share my screen here shortly with you all. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay. And so really the search here on Dice starts with IntelliSearch in particular. So IntelliSearch is actually an AI-powered tool that provides you with the capability to easily just copy and paste over a job description or a resume from an individual that maybe you've hired before and that meets your requirements. And so I'm going to go ahead and paste over the job description here. And so then from here, I'm going to go ahead and enter a job title. IntelliSearch does require you to essentially enter a job title here just for the purposes that this does learn as more and more employers change the skills that they're looking for specific individuals. And so as we know, for example, with AI, machine learning, data science being a predominant skill that some companies are looking for, as more and more of those job descriptions require those skills, our algorithm will learn and grow and provide some of those candidates with those skills specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and enter just a title here for a software engineer. And then you can also enter keywords or Boolean searches that you may be familiar with. If you're not as familiar with Boolean specifically, you can actually leverage our Dice Knowledge Center, which does provide a Boolean cheat sheet, which has a lot of different Booleans for various different positions that you can very easily also just copy and paste over. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and focus on Dallas, Texas for a location specifically. So let's go ahead and type that in. You do have control of the radius specifically that you can select. I'm going to go ahead and leave that as 50 miles for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And then right now, I have over 200,000 candidates that have essentially been populated. So this is a very large number. This does pull a lot of social profiles. So that does provide social profiles that are pulled from just social sites, also tech-focused sites. And so you have the access to millions of tech professionals based on just the current filters that are already preset. If a tech professional on Dice has a social profile, such as their LinkedIn or on any other platform, that information will also be tied to their Dice profile here. Now, as a recruiter, this number, of course, could be a little shocking, right? You don't have the capacity to go to 205,000 candidates specifically in Dallas, Texas. So how can we hone in down on a few candidates that may meet more of our requirements? So let's look at compensation, for example. Let's say that your salary range right now for this position is around 120,000 to 160,000. You can go ahead and use one of the compensation filter here on the left-hand side and actually narrow it down to those tech professionals that meet that criteria specifically. You can choose to include those who have not disclosed their compensation. We don't require that Dice, as tech professionals create a Dice profile, provide that information. So you can choose to include them or not. I'm going to go ahead and opt them out just for now. And then I'm going to click on search again. We highly recommend that as you apply filters, you click on search just to see how each filter that you've applied can change the number of tech professionals that you now have available. So as you can see, we went down from over 200,000 tech professionals to a little bit over 6,000. So it's still a pretty large number. So we definitely have the ability to still hone in a little bit more. I do want to call out that currently we're actually, for demo purposes, we're actually showing this on unbiased sourcing. So you do have a little bit of just more of a summarized data that is available generally to all of our partners. And unbiased sourcing really just provides you the ability to source without any sort of unconscious biases. You see here that information is just compressed to name. You don't see pictures or any of that information here. Johnny did touch on this about remote work setting. We do understand that many organizations are changing to more of a hybrid or on-site model. And so you also have the ability to actually filter by that desired work setting as well. So if you go ahead and expand desired work setting down here, we collect that information from tech professionals as they create their Dice profile. And so I want to focus on those that are open to coming on site or working a hybrid model. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck remote, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And so now I'm down to about 673 candidates. So we're getting to a list that's a little more manageable here, but I really want to understand, who is most likely to switch, who is active on Dice, who, if I engage, will respond to any sort of communication that I send out to them. And as you see here, just on the summary scorecard, you can see how likely they are to switch just based on that tech professional's activity on Dice. So whether they're actively searching for jobs, updating their resume, updating the skills information, their contact information. And that is a filter that you can leverage as well. So if you go here under likely to switch, you can actually focus on those that are most likely to switch, apply that filter as well. And now we're down to 241 candidates, a much more manageable list that you can then go through these tech professionals and start engaging with them. But a good way and recommendation that we also have and how we had some success for, as Johnny shared, is going ahead and saving that and having alerts come to you. So as new tech professionals that meet your criteria based on your job description, the location, and some of the filters that I've already preset, I can go ahead and save this search. And then I can go ahead and just give it a title of software engineer, and I can select how often I want to receive email alerts. So as new tech professionals join Dice that meet your criteria or they become active, you can get notifications, and you can choose to do that daily or weekly. I'm going to go ahead and save this as daily. And then just like that, I'll start receiving emails on a daily basis with any new tech professionals, or again, tech professionals that have now become active on Dice and that meet that criteria. And so I'm going to go ahead and just take you into a candidate just to show you what you can actually see on the candidate profile. I will turn off unbiased sourcing here just so you can see generally how the full profile looks like. And so as you can see here, I can see John's full name. If he had a picture, I'd be able to see that as well. I can see an overall summary as far as his previous position, his per position, location, salary information. I see all of the skills that he has listed as having. I see all the work history, education. And one key thing is that you also do get full access to a resume for anybody that has a DICE profile. That is a requirement when tech professionals are creating their DICE profiles. And so I can actually see a full copy of the resume that Johnny here has uploaded. And then if I wanted to, I could definitely engage through any sort of email address or contact information that he's provided on there. But we do have ways that you can actually engage with tech professionals on DICE specifically, starting with our messaging. So instant messaging is something that we definitely highly recommend. If Johnny has opted into SMS notifications, he'll actually get a notification when I send him any sort of communication as well. We can also leverage our private email here directly through DICE. So any sort of communication is handled directly through private email, both for you and for the tech professional. Tech professionals are most likely to reply to those emails because they know that it's coming directly from DICE, that it's a DICE trusted partner. And so they're more prone to reply to those communications. And then lastly, you do have the option as well to build a network. And so if I go ahead and click on connect here, I can actually add Johnny to my connections. And so if maybe Johnny isn't necessarily the best fit for this specific role, but he's a fit for a future role, I can start building a pipeline. And so very easily, I can go into my connections, find Johnny's information, and then reach out to him when there is a position that may be best fitting for him as well. And so with that, I'll turn it over to some questions and answers.
Yeah, and so this is just a reminder as well, if you do have any questions, please definitely submit those within the questions module. We have a couple here that we can start off with, and if anything comes to mind for you, definitely please add those. But first question here is, you did a few searches, Juan. Could you tell us how those results are ranked when I submit a search?
Yeah, so if I go back to the search results specifically, so they're actually sorted by most relevant just by default. You do have the option to actually sort those differently by most, the last time they updated their resume or the last time they made any sort of update. But by default, it will be loaded, sorted by those that are most relevant at top.
Got it, thank you. And so you searched for Dallas here. Are you also able to search by state or multiple states?
Yeah, definitely. So again, I focus on Dallas specifically, but let's say you wanted to hire in the overall state of Texas. You definitely can just select Texas, USA as a state. You also have actually the ability to focus on a specific time zone. So maybe you're okay in hiring any state within the central time zone. So you actually have the capability to focus with those filters as well by location.
Got it, thank you. Just another encouragement to submit any questions that you do have. I have one more here, which is, are you able to filter by when someone was last active?
Yeah, great question. So that is also a filter here, last active on DICE. You can provide essentially a max of 2,500 days. We generally see most employers look around last 60 to 90 days. So you can go ahead and enter that and then apply that as a filter as well, and get those candidates that are most recently active.
Got it, thank you. And then one person was asking if phone numbers are included in profiles as well.
That is optional, yes. Tech professionals can provide their phone number. They can also make it visible. So it may not be visible, but again, if they've opted in for SMS notifications, they will get notified there directly. And you would see that directly here on their phone. So in this case, John, decided not to provide one or not make it visible. But you could very easily use that. And specifically, if you have like a voice over IP as part of your system, you can then text them or call them directly from there.
Thank you, Juan. It looks like those are all the questions that we have right now. If anything does come up, please definitely send those to us. A few kind of parting words that we just wanted to say as well is a big thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk about hiring and hiring with speed. And if you do have any questions that come up beyond this webinar, we're certainly happy to speak with you. And on that topic, we also have tons of resources to help you. They're totally free of charge, like our tech salary report and our knowledge center, that are all there to help you hire, and in a lot of cases hire with speed. We hope that you check those out, and we hope that you find them helpful. Third is that we have a post-webinar survey, and this is something that really helps us kind of craft the most useful information and data for you, so we hope that you'll check that out. And last is that if you're interested in speaking more about DICE, we would love to speak with you. Please let us know, and a member of our team will be in touch. I am seeing that there are a few questions that have come through. I'm actually having a hard time seeing them, so I'm going to ask if our webinar moderator could post those in our chat. Just going to give this a couple minutes. All right, here's a question that came through, and thank you, Allie. If you post a position on DICE, do you get the opportunity to also search within the database?
So that's a great question. So we do our service offerings. You combine both the ability to post jobs and be able to source on the database itself. One of the benefits of when you post jobs is that you can also enable auto toggle alerts. So based on your job description alone, you can actually enable alerts that then feeds over candidates to you simply by doing that. You can always customize those similar to some of the stuff like what I showed. So if you want to add specific additional filters, you definitely can.
Okay, and here's another one that came in, Juan. Is DICE using AI?
Yes, definitely. So Talent Search specifically is AI driven, and it has been live for about, I would say, like at least 5 years now. As I mentioned, it continues to grow. We definitely have some exciting new AI functionality as well down our roadmap here this year. So we're looking forward to sharing some of those insights with you as well.
Another question here, and it's awesome to see all these coming through. Where do I find the Boolean cheat sheet that Juan referenced?
Yeah, so if you go to dice.com/support, that is the link to our knowledge center. It has quite a few videos actually that show you how you can do some of the searches just like I covered here through DICE, and our Boolean cheat sheet is there. There is a candidate employer section. You're welcome to obviously look at all that material, but the employer section is where our new Boolean cheat sheet will be located at. And we'll definitely make sure that through our follow-up, we share a link directly to that as well.
Got it. Thank you, Juan. So another one came in, which is, if I'm looking for remote-only workers, how do I search for this if I don't care about the area and radius? Maybe I only care about time zone.
Yeah, so I would say in that case, you don't have to input a specific location. So if you don't want to input like a state at all, it will search across the US. You can use the desired work setting filter that I showed and leave only remote, or you can leave all three really, but you can leave remote specifically. As long as they provided that as their work preference, you can then find those individuals, and then it'll be across the US specifically.
Thank you, Juan. So I think those are all the questions for right now. If anything does come up, please let us know. We'd be happy to speak with you. And in the sake of respecting everyone's time, I think that puts us at 30 minutes exactly. So we hope that you have a great day. And if you have any questions, please reach out.